Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Lucca earrings. Now these earrings feature the Arcos Puca and the Minos Puca, which are going to be those beautiful purple and green beads in there. So also we're going to be using some 4mm Czech fire polish beads, and I have this lovely pearlized color here. And I'm going to be using a symbol as well. So the symbols are metal components, and this one is a bead substitute. So you can see that it looks very similar. It is exact to the Arcos, but instead of Czech glass, this is actually going to be metal. It's going to just add a nice little element to help us finish it off with our lever clasp. All right, so I have two colors here, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a little floral design with those. And then just as a little bit of filler, I have some 11 Miyuki seed beads here. Now these are the round seed beads, and I went with a crystal AB so that they're going to just barely show up there, but they're going to help stabilize our whole earring. So this is all the ingredients you need aside from a size 12 beading needle. And today I'm going to be using the 4-pound smoke FireLine. Now for my project here, I did use the crystal, but I want it to show up nicely on camera here today. But if you're going to be using some darker color beads, as we have many other colors of the Arcos and Minos Puca at Beadaholique, you can choose to use the smoke FireLine. So that'll kind of disappear with whichever colors and design you choose. So the only little tool is that I'm going to be using a thread zap later to help me clip off my thread. But if you've got about 2 feet of your thread onto your beading needle, we're ready to go ahead and start picking up our beads. All right, so I'm going to start by picking up one of the 4mm beads, and then I'm going to go through one of the purple Arcos, going through the crescent side there. So pick that up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up going the opposite direction. Oops, excuse me. I'm going to pick up my Minos first in the green, and then I'm going to go through the opposite direction and go ahead and kind of slide that down. All right, and then we're going to pick up another of the 4mm. And then I'm going to kind of repeat, so I'm going to go through that side of the Arcos, through a Minos, and then through the opposite side of the Arcos. And now we're just going to repeat, and again, we're just alternating with our Arcos and Minos. Now don't worry if they're sort of flipping around on you. We will take care of that in just a moment. And pick up one of those guys. And now we're going through the back side there, sliding that down. There we go. All right. So this is what your section should look like so far. So you can see that we've alternated the colors and we've alternated the Arcos and Minos, so they kind of have almost a little butterfly effect happening there with the colors. And then go ahead and slide that down until you have maybe 6 to 8 inches or so on one side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to just do a little overhand knot, just bringing those two threads together, those two ends, just like so. And then I'm just going to tie another overhand knot just for a little bit of security. And make sure it sits right down inside there. All right, so now go ahead and make your piece lay flat, just like that. And now we have our needle coming out of this side here. It's in my right hand. There we go. I'm just going to rotate that. There we go. So now what I want to do is I want to go through that first white bead there. And then I'm going to go through that first purple Arcos. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that around, and I'm going back through that same Arcos, but through that third hole on the interior there. And I'm just creating a little thread bridge. And just make sure it sort of tucks and falls away so you don't see that anymore. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of my seed beads, and I'm going to go through that next Arcos. And this is just going to bring that together for me. And now, instead of picking up a seed bead, I'm just going to go into the next Arcos because this is going to bring those together. And I'm just going to rotate the piece a little bit. So I went through this first one, and then came to that second Arcos, and that's going to kind of cinch up for me. I'm going to add another seed bead and go into that purple Arcos there. And you're just going to do this going all the way around. I'm going to go straight into that purple Arcos across the way. Adding another seed bead, going into that green one, there we go, and skipping across. And this is just helping to stabilize that piece. You can see I'm pulling fairly tightly because I want it to cinch up nicely, but not too tight. You don't want the beads to crunch. There we go. And coming around once more here, going into that third hole of that purple Arcos. And now we have our little unit all stabilized. So now those Arcos won't flip and flop over. Okay, so we just added 4 seed beads and then skipped and cinched up the rest. So now what we're going to do is I want to get my thread coming out of this bead here. So just go ahead and work it around, and this is your chance to kind of just go through and just cinch up those beads. And I'm going to go all the way through, because if you look at my example here, I have my clasp portion, my earring hook, coming out of the green one. Now if you wanted to, you could absolutely flip it over and have the purple ones be at the top. It's a sort of, 360 design, so you can do it that way as well. But what I'm going to do is either way, you want to get it so that your thread is coming out one of those one of those Minos beads. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to go through once more. I'm not going to go all the way around because I just want to get to the second green one here. All right. And let's go here. Okay. So now what I've done is I've come all the way around here and I'm coming out of this hole of this Arcos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my thread around and I'm going to go through that center hole. And you'll probably have to do this in 2 steps, just the way the holes are oriented. So now what I want to do is I want to go through that Minos bead. And this is where you want to be coming out to add your clasp. So as long as you're coming out through one of those Minos beads there. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to pick up 2 seed beads. And this is where you'll want to choose your front and your back because we're going to have our little Arcos here. So it has a little etch on the front and it's flat on the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up through one side. Slide that down. So we have 2 seed beads and going up through the third hole there. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 more seed beads. And I'm going to go through the loop of my lever earring hook. I'm going to pick up 2 more seed beads, go down through the other side here, bringing that all together, and then pick up 2 more seed beads. And now I'm going to go back through that Minos bead that's right there at the top. And we're going to pull that nice and tight. Now to secure this, we're going to go and we're going to do that maybe 3 times. You'll have plenty of space because we're using a light pound of our FireLine. We're using the 4 pound again in case you've forgotten, but there we are. So going all the way through, just making sure it cinches up really nicely. We want to make sure we don't have it wobbly at the top there. All right, and I'm just going to go through once more. Now you can go through as many times as it will allow. Like I said, every time I pull, you can see it, you can see it sort of cinch up there, and that's what we want. We want that to be nice and stable. And as I said before, we do have many colors of the Arcos Puca and the Minos Puca available at Beadaholique.com. Everything I'm using here, you can get there as well. So we'll have the full tutorial so you can go ahead and look at all the ingredients. There we go. All right, so now that we're done with that, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to go through that Minos bead once more. It's getting tight in there, which is what I want. I want a lot of thread in there to keep it nice and stable. So now I'm just going to go back through that Arcos right there and through my fire polish bead. And now I'm coming around the back and just catching a thread bridge and creating a little loop. And I'm just going to tie that off, just like so. And then you can go through a bead or two just for a little added security. If you want, you can tie another little knot. Let's say you get to the outer edge here and you want to do that same thing. Tie one more little knot just for security. Go through another bead. You can do this for as much as you like. I'm going to go ahead and zap mine off right there. So let's go ahead and take our thing apart. And the thread zap works very simply. You just sort of press it down and that little tip there is heating up, so please keep your fingers away. And then you'll just come in and just zap off that thread. So you don't need a lot of thread. You can see that I actually even have almost about a foot left over. And then just finally, we're going to come to this side here. And let me just thread this part. There we go. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. Just wind that around. And actually, I'm going to go up through this way because we did not secure going this way. There we go. And again, just coming around the back, making that little loop and bringing my knot and hiding it right in there. There we go. And I'll just repeat that once more. Through that last little bead there and out to the side. Remove my needle, come in with my thread zap, just let that heat up, and then zap off my thread. And that is our easy, quick and easy earring. So it's a really nice little bead woven design that's very simple, and you can have a lot of fun with the colors and just really enjoy working with the 3-hole beads and the 2-hole beads and those symbols there as well. All right, you can get all of these supplies by heading over to Beadaholique.com and see even more tutorial projects and videos.